Well, hey there everyone. So this week I am doing one last Christmas present, but I wanted to show it in its entirety rather than just like little clips like I did last week. So about a week ago, I was helping my best friend do a present for her mom, which was a patchwork sweatshirt. And it turned out so freaking good. And then my sister's boyfriend saw it, and I hadn't gotten him or made him a Christmas present yet, and he really loved it. So that's what we're gonna do this week, is we're going to make him a patchwork sweatshirt. So I've gone to Goodwill and I found some items to throw together this sweatshirt. So pretty much what I'm gonna do is take a bunch of like sweatshirts and cut off a lot of items in squares and just throw it back together. So this one I'm going to take the arms from, and then this one I'm gonna take the hood and the pocket from. And then I found two little shirts that are very much his style. So this one's got like a bunch of like camping prints on him. And he loves camping, so that'll be perfect. And then this one for a pop of color because he loves colorful clothing. We found this like red naturey duck one. And then as just like a more plain one, we just got this tan one. So today I think I'm mainly going to cut out stuff unless I get my elastic needles in time. Because when we made the sweatshirt before, I didn't realize that there were different needles for elastic. That would have been very helpful, but we were like sewing things together and it like would not sew. So I'm waiting for those needles to get in today, so I might just have to cut out today and then sew tomorrow, depending on what time they get in. But pretty much what you have to do is, what I've seen people do is they'll cut out their like sweatshirt and then they'll place pieces over it and cut them out and stuff. But that seems a little too chaotic for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first choose which one of these best fits him, so that I could take basically the pattern from it. So I'm going to cut off the arms, cut off the collar, cut off the waistband, and then cut the front and the back pieces away so that I can use that as a pattern piece basically. And then from there, what I'll do is I will take my various materials and make probably about 4 patches for each panel. And then I will sew them into a square because that's a lot easier. And then from there, I can put the pattern piece on top of the square and then I can cut out the pattern. And so since the like shirt materials aren't as thick as the other material, what I have to do is I basically have to like cut out like pieces of like say this, since I'm not going to be using all of it, and then I'm going to have to layer it on top of that material so that it's all like the same thickness. So you'll see me do that and it'll make a little bit more sense while I do it. But that's pretty much what we have to do today, is get everything cut out and layered and get ready to sew things together. So yeah, let's go ahead and do that. So I had to change up my plan a little bit. Rather than using this green stripy sweater for my pattern, I'm ending up having to use this tan sweater instead. This one just happened to fit the best, so basically what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut off the bottom, I'm going to cut off the sleeves and the collar, and then I will separate the front from the back. So you can see that once I have everything cut away, I do have my front and my back pattern pieces. Since I am using this tan sweater for the pattern, I do like to use the same sleeves that I use for the pattern just to make sure that they fit properly, because that is the like objectively hardest part of anything to sew, which is sleeves. So instead of having the green stripy sleeves, I will be using tan sleeves. And I was looking at the measurement where I'd said I was going to use the green hood for the hoodie, but instead I was looking at how both of the green hood and the green stripy hood would fit around the collar, and the green stripy would fit the best. So I am going to cut that off with the sweater and then put it back on later. And then I'm also going to seam rip the pocket, and that is also going to be sewn back on later. Now what you see me doing here is that I have the front piece laid out, and I'm just going to measure the approximation of what I want each of the squares to be. So I am making them randomized, but I do kind of have an idea of what I want it to look like. And bear in mind that you do need seam allowance and everything, so I always measure a few inches more than I actually need. So once I get that measurement, then I can just go ahead and cut it out of the material for that spot. And again, since the button-down material isn't as thick as the sweater material, I do need to cut out some sweater panels to make the backing for these. So I'm basically just going to cut out the same measurement that I have for the squares of the button-down materials. And for this tan square, since I do just need basically the main of the pattern, I am going to use the middle of the pattern to cut out that last square that I needed for the front panel, but I do still have the pattern, so it's okay that I can do that. And then I'll do the same exact thing for the back, but again, just a little bit of a more variation of each of the square sizes and materials. Now it's time to stick the button-down material onto the sweatshirt material, so I am going to be using spray glue for this. Now you could take it to the machine and baste it on, but I found this to be just easier to handle and everything just works a bit better. It doesn't stay super well, but it'll stay long enough for me to get everything sewn together. So I'm just going to spray a nice layer all over this sweatshirt material, and then I'm going to lay down the button-down material and just flatten it out, and it's ready to be sewn. Okay, so I've got everything cut out for the sweater, and I'm just waiting on the needles, and I have a feeling they're not going to get here till probably late. So I think tomorrow is when I'm going to start sewing everything together. But I think it's coming together. Keep in mind, this is a man's style. I personally would not choose these fabrics for myself or the order for myself. But he loves loud colors and patterns and stuff, so this will be perfect for him. So as you saw, I had to change up my plan as soon as I started laying out the sweaters and seeing what would work best as my pattern. So I did end up using the tan sweater as the pattern because it was the biggest one there. So instead of using the green stripy one for the sleeves, I had to use the tan one for the sleeves. So the sleeves are going to be tan. And then I'm probably going to add some patches. Actually, I cut out the pockets from the little camping shirt, and I think I'm going to put each sleeve have one of those pockets, so that'll add to break up the tan a bit. But yeah, and then I had to change it so that the stripy green sweater's hood was the hood because that fit the best for the tan's neckline. And then the pocket will also be the green stripy material. So yeah, everything is adhesed to each other and cut out, and we're just waiting for the needles, and then I can start sewing squares together, cutting out the pattern, and sewing the actual sweater together. So I think for the rest of the day, I think I'm just going to tune out and then do some more cross stitch because that thing's taking me forever. But I'm almost done. This is where I'm at so far. I just need to add some like green on the sides, and then I'm gonna call that done, and close up all the extra stuff, and then that can be done, and I can finally show the reveal from last week because it was only partially done last week. So yeah, I guess I will see you all tomorrow. Okay, so it is the second day, and it should be the last day. So I got everything cut out yesterday. I got everything adhesed to each other. So now it is time to start sewing things together. And I did get my elastic needles in, so hopefully this does a better job. I think it will. So basically what I have to do today is sew all the squares together, and then I can start cutting out my pattern pieces, and then I'll just put it all back together like a sweater should look like. So let's go ahead and finish this up. Now it's time to start sewing everything together. So you can see here that I do have a distinct half of this pattern. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the two halves and sew each of those squares together, and then I can sew everything together. And then I am going to serge the edge of all of this material just to make it a bit more wearable and last longer. Now that everything is sewn together, for the front, I am going to lay down the front pattern and then cut around it. Now remember that you also do need seam allowance. I am a little tight on space for this, but I do try to cut out as much seam allowance as I can all around the piece. Now it's time for the back. So you can see that I do have my panels laid out, but I do have the halves opposite of what I did the front. So I'm going to take the two squares and sew them right sides together, and then take those two halves and sew them right sides together. And then again, I'm going to put down my pattern and then cut around it with as much seam allowance as I can manage. Now before we start sewing the two panels together, I just wanted to get the pocket laid on the front piece first. So I'm just going to put it on the front and then line up the bottom with the bottom of the sweater, because that's going to be sewn in with the waistband, so we don't really have to worry about that. And then we're just going to top stitch the sides and then the top. Now it's time to start to sew the front piece to the back piece down the sides and on the shoulders. And those are also going to get serged. The hood can then be placed right sides together and sewn all the way around. And then I will bring it right sides out and then top stitch it around the neckline. Now it's time for the waistband, so I am going to use the tan waistband from the original sweater, and I'm just going to pin it right sides together, and then once I'm done, I'm going to top stitch all the way around. And then before we get the arm sewed on, I just wanted to get the pockets out of the way. So I'm just going to lay them on top of the sleeve and then top stitch all the way around. Once the sleeves are sewn on, we are ready for the final look. Alright, well, here it is. I think this came together very well, a lot better than I was thinking it was going to, especially with the choice of materials. But I think this looks like an actual sweater, which is fantastic. I hope it fits. I think it will. I think my favorite part has to be the little pocket sleeves, because I just love this pattern specifically in this color. And then just like the little pocket on the sleeve is so cute. So yeah, I think it turned out really, really, really good. I think he's gonna absolutely love this and never stop wearing this, and I hope not, because I spent a lot of time on it. So yeah, I hope this was an okay-ish tutorial if you wanted to do something patchwork like this. I think it's honestly a great way to thrift things and reuse things and make them spiffier, more spiffy than they were before. So yeah, we're being sustainable. And then all the scraps that I made, I can still use to make like other patchwork things. I just wasn't able to use it for this. So yeah, there's a lot of scraps that I can use later on as well. So I think this is just a really fun thing to do, especially if you have like a band t-shirt. Like what I've been seeing with people when they make a patchwork thing is they'll have like a Noah Khan shirt or something, and then they will make it into a sweatshirt like this. So that is how you do it. You could just make a bunch of patches and put it together. So yeah, that is the last of my gifts. Oh yeah, while I'm here, let me show you the reveal of my best friend's cross stitch. That's finally done. So that one is done as well. Let me show you that. Yeah, I think that one turned out so good. It took so long. I was able, within the span of making that, I was able to watch the end of Fruits Basket. I was able to finish the entirety of Demon Slayer. I was able to watch the last 2 long episodes of Attack on Titan, and I was able to rewatch Kaiju number 8, all of season 1. So that's how long, approximately, plus 5 hours a book. So approximately that's how long it took to do that cross stitch. It doesn't look like it took a lot, but it sure did. It sure did. So that's the end of Christmas gifts for this year. I hope you enjoyed these little videos. And so next week is Christmas, so I'm going to be off next week. And then I might do another video the week after. Sorry for the spotty videos at the end of the year. It's really hard to do things because everything's just so busy. So eventually, after this month is done, I will have a regular schedule again. So apologies for the spotty videos. So anywho to do, if you like what I did, go and like and subscribe. I post most Saturdays, mostly new, and I will see you in my next video. Thank you for watching.